What's up, broods and broodettes? It's the Pico Dudes. I'm Sam Rathert, and joining me on our apology tour today, the man who never fusses about throwing around those cusses. It's Jeremy Hidalgo. What's up, Jeremy?
Hey, I let my inner spike out. It was a mess. That Denny Con Porter was so good.
It was so good, but there was so much of it. Maybe next time we split that into multiple episodes.
Yeah, let's never both brew the same beer and then take a
At
10%
alcohol.
and then take 5 different liter bottles and make variations that we have to taste and describe and drink.
Hey, it was fun at the time.
That was my most favoritist podcast.
It was
so
most favoritist out of, we are now on our 10th podcast.
Is this our decasode?
Decacast. It's in there. It's
yeah, it's in there.
What's
So
the Roman numeral? It's the X.
it's the X gonna give it to you.
Oh boy, who's about to give it to you?
So speaking of give it to you,
Mm-hmm.
introduce my beer.
Oh wait, you made it. So yes, we are going to do another beer, not a competition.
Just compare.
We're just gonna compare them and then give them both a score of which one will be higher than the other. So totally not a competition.
Not at all.
No, but this is fun, and we want to keep having fun. But we did, and this was purely by happenstance, both brew a Saison today.
Yeah, I was calling it Saison because I'm an idiot and I read it like Saison, but I've been retraining my brain to say Saison.
Do you know
all
what?
week.
Do you know what Saison means?
No, can you enlighten me?
Can you guess?
Season?
Bam! Nailed
Whoa.
it. So it's French for season. So the Saison was a seasonal beer, and often they were made. I don't know. Let's do a little talk about Saison before we jump in. How's that sound?
I'm down.
They were a seasonal summer beer, and they were often brewed in the winter, often during downtimes for the farm hands. And they also did a lot of brewing in the winter because they didn't have refrigeration yet. You couldn't brew beer in the summer because it'd get too hot.
Sure.
So
They didn't have the fast ferment option.
They didn't on their Pico brews.
Yeah.
No, those people had those old first generation Pico brews, and they would brew this often in the winter, and it would be ready for the summer season. And they would use whatever had been harvested that previous season. So it was often made with whatever the local harvest was, whatever came through that year. And a lot of characteristics of it were it was light in body, it was dry in finish, and fruity and spicy. So we're going to be looking for light bodies, dry finishes, fruity and spicy. Now, it also used to be pretty low alcohol. Back then, it might be 3% alcohol because you don't want to give all your farm hands drunk while they're working.
Right.
Now, Saisons really have gotten up into at least 4.5 to 5 and often up into 8% or above alcohol. So I don't know who'd be crazy enough to make an 8% Saison.
Spike, that too.
That Spike guy. Spike Saison.
He's the kind of guy that, never mind. I'm not beeping stuff
Exactly.
out in this episode.
We were keeping it clean for the kids.
For show.
But often that simple recipe that was harvest driven and almost quite often a Pilsner malt. So,
And now when you say harvest driven, you're talking about the grain, right? The
Yes.
malt. Yeah.
well, harvest driven, and as well as whatever they might add to it. So often different fruits or whatever would be used to complement the base, and that would often be driven by what they're harvesting also.
Nice.
So there's been pumpkin, there's been berries, all sorts of different Saisons they have done.
I did not fruit. I did not fruit this beer. Is that something I should have done?
I don't think so. I think our goal is to try it straight out of the Pico Brew store, and we will talk about how you've made your own here, but we're trying to get as close to what they intended there. And once we've done that, we're going to get a little crazy with it. But
Awesome.
so now we've got this. We've got the Saison. Tell us a little bit about the brewer of this Saison. Who's the brew house that put this together?
We'll call it Spike's Brewery, but really it's the Pico dudes. I went to Freestyle and I started with the Saison.
What's Freestyle?
Freestyle is the recipe creator on picobrew.com. And I went there and started with a Saison as a base. And then I went nuts. And
You went nuts. So you can pick a different base, or you can start from complete scratch on Freestyle, right?
yeah, where it's basically just water. As mentioned, like you can start with blank, which is just water.
Just water.
Meaning you will go in and build from the ground up what your base grains are, what hops you have in at the different intervals, whether it's interval bittering, flavor, or aroma,
Yep.
and if you're going to dry hop. And then it also it allows you to choose your yeast as well. So when you go in and then decide to use a style as your base, it will go ahead and preload certain aspects that fit that style, and then you can kind of riff off of that. What I did was I started with a Saison, and I'm pretty sure I didn't nail the style of beer. Of course, I could be wrong, but I threw the kitchen sink at this one. I went in and I added, so it starts out with 44 ounces of Pilsner malt, 8 ounces of white wheat malt, 22.5 ounces of Vienna malt, and 20 ounces of two-row pale. So that's on the grain side.
What caused that mix of grains? What drove you to that? You were doing this after drinking, aren't you?
So no, it was actually early one Saturday morning. I was sitting up, enjoying a cup of coffee, deciding to brew or freestyle a beer, and I started reading as I went through and started adding I started reading the description that comes up on the freestyle application or the page, and
It all sounds so good.
and I started adjusting my recipe based on what it was saying. So currently it says this is a balanced amber Saison. It is heavy and big alcohol with herb, spice, and cedar notes. So I've gone over the grains. The hops I added were Summit and Northern Brewer for the bittering, Northern Brewer and Saaz for the flavor, and some Saaz hops for the aroma. I would say I don't think this is an overly aromatic beer.
No.
I also did dry hopping in the recipe, of which are you huffing my beer?
No, when you're sniffing your beer, I've been taught you take short or shallow sniffs like a dog does, because the longer you sniff, the less your nose can pick out the different characteristics. Okay, yeah, that is creepy. We won't do that anymore.
It's almost as bad as eating popcorn into the microphone.
I wish we had some popcorn right now.
When we're done, that will be your reward.
That's my reward for getting through a clean podcast.
So I forgot to add the dry hops until I force carbonated, which was 2 days ago. Carbonation level is good on this. We are using the tap room to serve. Thank you, Ketchu. It works great. So the statistics on this beer, the ABV is 8.6. Alcohol by volume is 8.6. The IBUs are at 30. The OG, original gravity, is not original gangster. Original gravity is at 1.077. Final gravity ended up around 1.012. The SRM is 7, and it is we don't have a chart up there. I should print one of those out.
I'm just looking at the wall.
You're looking at the beer flavor map.
There must be a chart around here.
There is. We've used it before, but I pull it up on the computer.
Okay, but it's a 7 is what this is supposed to be.
It's a 7. Okay. So that's pretty much, that's my story on this. It's got the Belle Saison, almost said Saison again. It's got the Belle Saison yeast. Ideal temperature range was 60 to 78, and I kept it right around 68 the entire time. So I don't think I had much more than 1.5 degree temperature variation. This took forever to ferment.
Really?
Like I said, Denny Cons took forever to ferment. This took longer. I can probably tell you how long it took if I click on this handy little brew house button. And it has been fermenting for 22 days.
No.
22 days. And the last 2.5 days, it's been carbonating.
Did you pico firm this? Did you
I did
it
pico
with an airlock?
I did pico firm this.
Plus airlock.
Plus airlock. So the pressure indication was at 0 the whole time, but the temperature is how I know where everything stayed. The thing is, though, with the pico firm, it told me it was done way before it was done. Now,
but you were still getting bubbles. And
it was
activity.
still bubbling, and I just let it go. I let it roll. And so the pico firm, though, to kind of its defense, typically draws on multiple Like, well,
You don't have to defend the Pico firm.
but it does draw on multiple different brew sessions of the same recipe. And in this case, since I had done it, it didn't have any reference. So it just said, oh, this should take this long based on what it says, or what he picked out. And it needed a lot more time. So, all right. So I called this one 10-second car, Fast and Furious reference.
Absolutely.
We'll have to see how the review goes to see if you'll be telling me that I owe you a 10-second car after this or not. If you're not a Fast and Furious fan, I recommend you go watch the movies. You'll get the reference after the first one. And
so you can save yourself 7 more movies if you don't watch them in reverse order.
It's in there somewhere. You'll have to find
it. It's not far from the beginning.
Oh, Paul Walker.
Oh, rest in peace, buddy.
All right.
All right. Are we trying this? I'm going to let you try and I talk so that we don't have an awkward pause. Although this may be as awkward that I'm calling out the awkward pauses that we have. And this whole time I'm speaking, you're not drinking at all.
Sorry, I'm drinking now.
I just didn't want anyone to think their radio would mystically quit on them with this. Oh, that was a good swallow.
That was a lot of alcohol in that. This is, wow. So
I've never said that phrase before.
you have never said that face?
Nothing. Moving on.
So it's a lot sweeter than I expected.
This is super sweet. So if one of the characteristics of a Saison is a dry finish,
this missed the mark.
So let's start with I think you've got a good color. It's a little cloud, which is actually a pretty good thing. And I think a lot of the traditional Saisons did have a little cloudiness to them.
Also, I kind of, because it took so long to finish fermenting, if it's even finished, there's definitely 8.6% alcohol in here. This tastes more alcoholic to me than the Denny Con porters.
Oh, even the Woodinville whiskey.
Oh, no, not that one. No.
That was fire in a bottle.
That was like jet fuel. That would be an 8-second car.
Godzilla drinks
because
that.
It runs on alcohol. This this one is it's a lot sweeter than I thought, and it tastes almost like a Hefeweizen to me.
Yeah, I was drinking a Hoegaarden today at lunch. This is like you took a Hoegaarden layered on a Hoegaarden and squeezed it all into one glass. So it's got, I feel that sweetness is almost a banana.
Is that 2 Hoegaardens? You just pour one on top of the other.
They got to fit in one. There's a physics, spatial, never mind.
Yeah. It's like a double Hoegaarden.
It is. It's
if
like,
there can be a double IPA, there why can't there be a double Hoegaarden?
It's a double Hoegaarden.
Do I need to rename this?
Double Ho.
This double Ho in the house. All right.
So you're in a 10-second double Ho.
Oh, that's horrible.
Actually, that is really bad.
Super entertaining, though.
I'm a visual thinker, and I just went mentally blind.
I don't know. Like my first drink of this was, it's really sweet.
Yep, and it's good sweet. It tastes yummy.
Yeah, it's
in the mouth. I think the finish, I'd like it to dry up a bit.
Yeah, it's not what I was expecting. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't this. And I racked it a couple nights ago into the keg that I used to get it off of the trube and the yeast cake and everything. And I tried it then, and it, without carbonation and without being chilled, it was like, the alcohol was even more prominent.
Yep.
I was immediately worried about how this was going to turn out. I think this will get us lit pretty quick, but I'm
already has.
Yeah, I'm kind of okay with it. I think I don't know. I think it's a recipe that needs some refining. If we're gonna talk about some of the things on the beer flavor map, you definitely get that banana flavor that you get in a Hefeweizen. There might be a little bit of coriander flavor in there, although I don't recall adding that at any time.
And that might be part of that spice that you pick up in the Saisons. And it's a very light, it's hard to pick that up through the sweet.
Yeah, it's not there's a point right like in the 2/3 point of your full taste, like right before the aftertaste. The aftertaste gets a little bit sweet again, and the initial taste is sweet, but there's a point with which you pick up on all of the alcohol that I guess you could kind of consider dry, but it's very short lived.
Is that a little dry moment?
I'm trying to shoehorn this into the Saison flavor profile. It's not working. I'm pretty sure I would lose. I would love to get somebody else's input who actually knows Saisons a little bit better.
How much wheat did you use versus Pilsner on your malts?
Actually, this is a majority Pilsner.
Okay.
So
I was just thinking, if this had more wheat character, this would be a Hefeweizen. It would be a classic Hefeweizen.
yeah, I think the let me look at the thing here. It shows that basically the white wheat malt was only 8 ounces, so
Yeah.
only 8.5%, compared to 46.6% on the Pilsner malt and 21.2 on the 2-row pale. So it's we had 23.8% on the Vienna malt. So it's
And this is forced carbonated.
forced carbonated.
So there's no added sugars that might still be laying around in this. You did dry hop it.
Assuming it was 100% fully complete on the fermentation, but considering it went 22
What
days,
is it, a lager?
I mean,
It takes forever.
it did. It took a long time, and it was a fairly active fermentation throughout. There was a lot of sugars that it needed to get through. So I'm actually kind of wondering if maybe the Saison yeast wasn't meant to hit the alcohol levels on the higher
That's what
side,
I'm
and so
wondering.
it might be like
Did you add the entire packet?
I did not. I added half the packet
It feels like it may be under yeasted.
fermented.
Well, you can under yeast easily. It's hard to over yeast. It's possible, but that packet is usually meant for 5
Yeah.
gallons of whatever this stuff that comes out of you. What do you get when
5 gallons of wort.
Wort? Thank you, wort. I knew it was some ugly thing on a witch. It's with an O.
As with an O as opposed to what?
Hey, we're moving on.
Okay.
Don't pick on
Sorry.
my spellings of wart. Didn't Wart lose a leg in Diablo? I'm way off here.
Or you could be like warthogs.
Poor Wart. He was such a good boy.
Was that like Bane mixed with
No, it was
Sean Connery?
It was the old man from Diablo, the
Oh.
bow of the bear. Never Diablo. Okay, video game, old times. So I'm sorry. This is high alcohol beer.
It's high
really-
alcohol.
It's
so
catching up to me now.
I have a hard time believing it didn't make its 8 point.
I thought on the
6%.
apology tour that we would be able to come through this clean.
Oh,
but-
do I need to say sorry for something?
oh no! I have so many things to say sorry for, but
Oh,
so many of them. I'm sorry for everybody that had to. Now, we had a lot of fun with our last podcast.
we
didn't
did. We hope you guys had as much fun as we
We
did.
need your input. We need you to tell us what you like and don't like, because otherwise we're just going to keep fumbling around in the dark and you're never going to have a happy ending. So we need your help. Speak to us.
We need more guidance.
We need more guidance. So
All right, let's rate this on a star scale. You go first.
I'm going to be honest. This is too much sweet and too much alcohol together. I wouldn't drink it if I didn't have to.
Then stop drinking it.
I'm trying, but I've got to get this glass empty. So I'm going to put it at 2.5.
Oh, it beats the ORB red.
Oh, it crushes the ORB red. I could drink this.
Yeah.
If I had no other beer, I could drink this.
I'm at 3 stars.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is a recipe that I don't even think I'll mess with. I think if I start another Saison, I'll just start.
You
all
had
over.
a lot of grain. And
I did what I always do. I fell into this freestyle trap. That sounded good. I fell
Smoky.
into this freestyle trap where I like start thinking I want one type of beer, and halfway through building the recipe, I go, no, I want to get as high alcohol as possible. I don't know why I do that.
All right.
All
Cheers.
right.
Let's
Cheers.
let these fine folks go home. Till next week. Pico Dudes.
Out. You've reached the end of another episode of the Pico Dudes podcast. Connect with us at picodudes.com, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. And if you enjoyed our show, we'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts, but mostly iTunes. Also, if you want a code that will help give you some discounts off of the Pico Brew equipment, Z150D equals $150 off of the Z series. Pro, PRO 125D gives you $125 off of the Pico Pro. And C75D gets you $75 off of your purchase of a Pico C. We hope you enjoy listening. Look forward to hearing from you. Pico Dudes out.